statistic. First of all, pastors' marriages and the divorce rate among pastors is really, frankly, embarrassing to us all.
Yeah.
And the majority of pastors' wives, when asked to discuss their hurts, said that the most destructive thing that ever happened to their marriage, ever, was the day that their husband entered the pastoral ministry.
Yeah.
So that's pretty glaring. What have you observed are the most pressing needs of pastors in New England, Dick? In your opinion?
That's a good question, Steve. I'm going to give one first that everybody will know is coming, and then we're going to move on from it. It is a glaring need, but it's actually not the one that sinks or floats a pastor's ministry. Pastors are woefully underpaid. They really are.
Yes.
But they love the pastorate. They love the ministry. There have been a study done that showed 80-some% said they actually love pastoral ministry, but it doesn't mean they don't have all these other problems and fears and struggles. So they're committed even if they're not making it financially, so that the wife has to work and they still have to deny themselves many, many things. The greatest needs, as I see it, the pastors have in pastoral ministry, at least in New England, here. I think there are about 4 of them. One, they need to redevelop, or maybe they've never had it, develop a genuinely intimate relationship with Jesus Christ.
Amen.
They need it.
Truly.
In John 14, Jesus said, "He who loves me will keep my commandments, and I will love him, and I will reveal myself to him."
Absolutely.
That's what they need.
Yes.
Those intimate times with the Lord Jesus.
Yes.
That changes so many things.
Everything.
See,
yeah.
Then the second thing, and I think I've got these prioritized in this way. Pastors need to come together with other pastors for earnest, focused prayer. There was a time in New England when I first began my ministry way back in 1964. Pastors gathered together on a monthly basis here in the greater Boston area. We'd have coffee together and we'd pray. Pastors don't come together to pray anymore. It's the most difficult and challenging part of the work I'm doing. I am committed to bringing pastors together to pray. We've got them praying in our small groups, but I have to continue to remind them, don't leave prayer to the end of the meeting, because they do. And then in 5 minutes they want to do all the praying. I say, no, you've got to be focused on prayer. The third thing that pastors need is authentic relationships, authentic ones. They need them within the church, with their leadership, with other pastors. And the fourth thing, they need to discover how to be me, not pastor so-and-so.
Oh, yes.
To escape the pastoral persona and just be real. It is so refreshing when they break through into that. And that's some of the things we're seeing happen in some measure within the groups. But it's not happening in their churches yet. If only their people could understand these needs.
Well, as the leader goes, the church goes, we hope, anyway. So I have a couple of questions for you around that. One, just off of what you just said, I read an article in the Atlantic Monthly many years ago, and it was talking about the helping professions. It was written by a therapist. And one of the things it observed, that according to whatever metrics behavioral scientists use, and we can debate the legitimacy of those, but that clergy tended to be tend to have a problem with being self-realized individuals, being in touch with their own identity. That in other words, they got lost in a role persona and did not develop as individuals because they were so tended to be so overwhelmingly aware of their role. So I just thought that was interesting, and it sounds like what you just said. What I want to talk about just for a minute, Dick, is pastoral spirituality, because we've both served pastors for a long time, and I still mentor pastors some. It's not all I do now, but I do mentor a handful of pastors, and it is safe to say that the one thing sometimes doesn't look like it's the one thing for guys in pastoral ministry. I mean, they're very much aware of their duty. They're very much aware of whether their church is growing. They're very much aware of the budget. They're very much aware of conflict within the church. They're very much aware that they have a sermon coming up this Sunday, but it's not a secret. And there's plenty of hard data that shows us that when you ask pastors about their personal relationship with Jesus Christ as it is demonstrated through prayer, intimacy with Christ, not Bible study for a sermon, you know. And you know this. We don't get great marks. Evangelical pastors do not get great marks. Why do you think that is, Dick? How did that happen?
Oh, I think it happened primarily because the business model for running the church, the business model for running the church was taken from the corporate model. And pastors, little by little, were cast into the role of CEO.
Right.
Whether
Organizational leader.
Exactly. Whether it was a congregation of 50 or 5,000,
right.
the mentality, expectation was about the same. They felt that. I remember in the early years in Hopkinton, as I was seeking to bring that church back into biblical Christianity, and I was spending more and more time in prayer. I would devote a day a month to prayer, and periodically I'd go away for a part of the day. And my lay leaders, not all of them, but some of them, would say something to the effect, well, I wish I had time just to go away and do nothing, you see. So the expectation of the pastor had very little to do with what I believe is the primary call to pastoral leadership, voiced in Acts 6:4. We must give ourselves to prayer and the ministry of the word. We have been drawn away from that. And unfortunately, we have succumbed to it all too willingly, because if you do a good job running the organization, the money will be there, you'll have adequate buildings, and you'll have increased numbers of people.
And your life will be less stressful.
Well, yes.
At least you think it will. If you have
think
all those
it will,
things,
but what you're getting out of that is a sense of satisfaction, self-significance,
Ego
and
fulfillment.
accomplishment, those sorts of things. But we're building on the wrong things when we seek those as a way of satisfaction. It's sad to say, but so many pastors are trapped in that today.
Oh, it's true.
Many pastors want out. I'm thankful for that. And there is a slow but steadily emerging movement of finding spiritual directors.
Yes.
And of taking time away for spiritual reflection.
Yes.